Last night on Monday Night Raw, CM Punk opened the show and he made it pretty damn clear that he was not going to be able to go to WrestleMania 40 and finally finish his story, finally be the main event, which, if you ask anyone in the IWC, he was pretty much slated to be in the main event of night one, challenging Seth frickin' Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of that very show. And again, this is a story that's happened multiple times in the past, not only to CM Punk himself, but to many superstars in the past, because again, this is a physical business. It's a physical industry. Injuries do happen. And unfortunately, CM Punk's luck ever since he made his return back to pro wrestling in 2021 hasn't been the best. Whether it's a backstage incident, backstage drama, becoming a world champion in AEW, and then pretty much getting injured both times. And now we get this. In his first match back with WWE, the Royal Rumble, the very last match he had for World Wrestling Entertainment back in 2014, he ends up becoming the runner-up for that match itself this past Saturday night. He loses to Cody Rhodes, but he also gets injured. His triceps tears. And I might have butchered that. Triceps. If I did, I'm sorry. Don't really have too much experience talking about these kinds of injuries. But yeah, CM Punk will not be able to make it to 40. And if you ask me, of course I'm bummed about these news. And again, you already know my personal thoughts on how Phil Brooks, CM Punk handles his business, both in AEW and WWE in the past. But overall, make no mistake about it, CM Punk, his name, his in-ring talent, everything that he brings to the table is WrestleMania worthy. It's business work, good for business, as the Authority would say back in the day. So it's a very big loss for WWE. And to be honest, I heard about these news on Sunday, the night after the Rumble. Hell, I even talked about the fact yesterday I was hopeful, very hopeful, that he could pretty much be in the same boat as Seth frickin' Rollins, who could just nurse that injury, not compete, rest as much as possible, and maybe make it to WrestleMania. I was hopeful of that for CM Punk. I was hopeful that he could have a one-on-one match with Drew McIntyre at the Elimination Chamber. I was hopeful that he could be inside the Elimination Chamber match itself, win that, and then go on to WrestleMania and give us the main event that we all want to see, Rollins versus Punk for the world title. But much like CM Punk mentioned last night, it just wasn't in the cards for him to be at WrestleMania 40. And it's unfortunate. It really, really is. And I'm sure a lot of fans out there are bummed about these news as well. But I will say this. Drew McIntyre interrupting CM Punk last night and using WWE itself, creative Punk, I don't know whose idea it was, but using that injury to his advantage. Intertwining it into a story, setting up a future rivalry, a future story, much like Punk said, in terms of he'll be back, he'll main event WrestleMania, that's going to be his next big goal. But the first man he's looking for, once he comes back, is Drew McIntyre himself. That is gold. That is something I'm looking forward to. And again, Drew McIntyre has been putting in some tremendous promos, and I'm not ever going to get tired of saying this. The man is pretty much, he's managed to combine two very good characters and create a brand new personality. He's not the sociopath or the psychopath that he was when he first made his main roster debut. He's not the guy who carried the company on his back during the pandemic. He's a mixture of both, and he drops truth bombs for the fans, for wrestlers involved. And I really don't want to see Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins again, and I don't want that to be the World Championship main event. But overall, the work that Drew McIntyre has been able to put in over the past few weeks, over the past few months in WWE promo work, in-ring work. It can't be denied. And, that should be the mentality in any pro wrestling company. Somebody gets injured, doesn't matter if it's a top star, you have to have the next man up mentality. And Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Randy Orton, I don't know, somebody has got to be slotted into that main event that CM Punk is unfortunately gonna miss. But here's the thing. I'm calling this out right now. What date is it today? January 30th, 2024. CM Punk is the very first true candidate to win next year's Royal Rumble and get his chance to finish his story and main event WrestleMania. And he's going to be at the top of that list, because if Cody Rhodes, for some odd reason, doesn't finish his story this year, I don't think they're going to go ahead and give him that exact same story for next year. So I think CM Punk is a very strong candidate to finally win a Royal Rumble match and finally secure his spot in the main event of WrestleMania and finally finish his story in front of WWE. Overall, props to WWE, props to Monday Night Raw, props to the creative team and CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and everyone involved, because they took a very unfortunate incident, something that does happen in the pro wrestling industry, and they did the absolute best, and they turned it into comment, and they turned it into a very, very entertaining segment that served its purpose, set up future matches, and opened up the spot, opened up the platform for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins later in that night, and have us, the fans, doubt about which world champion Cody Rhodes is going to end up choosing to face off at WrestleMania 40. So props to everyone involved. It sucks that we're not going to get CM Punk at WrestleMania 40, but the talent pool currently in WWE is stacked, and they can carry the load, in my opinion, and it's all a matter of just coming up with a story great enough to lead us into the show of shows. So with that said, what are your thoughts on CM Punk missing WrestleMania 40? What are your thoughts on Drew McIntyre's current work? What are your thoughts on what should be WWE's next move in terms of the main events for WrestleMania itself? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comments section below. As far as tonight's concerned, tune in later on tonight to the USA Network, for NXT. I'm Alexis Carrillo. This has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.